guys, how you doing? My name is Mel. Welcome to tonight's live. Now today, like I said, and I've been spreading the word. Today we're gonna be speaking about various different topics, all electrically related. I've received all of your guys' questions throughout the weeks. I've written them down and I've looked through them. I've picked some of the important ones, obviously. Uh, Whoever, as far as the people that are attending, you guys are priority. So if you guys have any questions, you can stop me at any time, and I can, you can ask me any questions that you do feel you wanna, ask me. While I'm actually going through everything, I'm just gonna keep on, going from question to question. But feel free to, interrupt me at any time you want to chime in. Okay. If you don't want to, you can use the chat room. Post questions here. You can just type in through there and speak. Speak to me through there as well. You can speak amongst yourselves as well too. Whatever you guys choose. This is your live. Enjoy yourselves. With that said, I'm just gonna keep on, and yeah. So welcome, and I hope you enjoy the show. So for today, basically, I wanted to speak a little bit about before I answer the questions that I have here in front of me. I wanted to speak a little bit about conduit bending fundamentals. Now it looks like in time somewhere, it looks like a lot of the journeymen forgot or just didn't bother to teach the apprentices, okay, what conduit bending really is all about. Okay, now I have a saying that I've, pretty much I always repeat, even though people might not be listening to me, and they just, let it go from one ear and out the other. But, you know, I like to say that just because you know how to bend doesn't mean you always should. Okay, now that goes with the core principles of conduit bending fundamentals. You know what I mean? Like a perfectly installed conduit is one that is not bent at all. You know, um, that's a perfectly installed conduit. At best, maybe it might have a 90 or somewhat, but it looks like the this generation here, and maybe a little bit before as well. I mean, it looks like you know they have something to prove, and it's like they want to bend around every single obstruction that they can find. It looks like they're trying to find something to actually bend around. Number one, that takes a lot of time. Number two, it takes a lot of time. Number three, you're not really making it look that good. You know what I mean? Obviously, you're going to have some cases where you just don't have any other choice. Now, then is when you're supposed to bring your skills out and bend. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, the fundamentals are to try to, keep it as straight as possible for as long as possible and this at the same elevation. You know what I mean? To me, that's a perfectly installed conduit. A perfectly installed conduit. For as straight as for as long as possible. But this is something that hasn't been taught, in my opinion. It's something that's been, that's been ignored, and most people coming to these, to a company, whether they're new or not, they think that they have to know how to make every single. Well, you do have to know your job too as well. I'm not saying you don't need to know how to bend and that you shouldn't. What I'm saying is that you should know your job. You should know how to make these bends, and it's good to educate yourself on how to doing these bends, but at the same time you shouldn't force yourself to bend all the time. Okay, you should actually do the opposite and do your best to find routes to not bend your conduit. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. So it's just things that you need to keep in mind. And when you're learning how to actually be the master of your craft. You know what I'm saying? It's something that you should keep in mind. Try to figure out ways to not make. any bends, Now, if you already have your route chosen for you by engineers, by your foreman, then so be it. Then that's what it is. You know what I mean? But if it's up to you, and you have, and your boss just tells me pretty much get it from A to B, then it's your job to try to find the best route, you know, that you can actually accomplish what I'm telling you, which is, you know, keeping it as straight as possible for as long as possible, trying not to make them bends. I mean, if you have to actually, make a bend, obviously, of course, it's going to happen, then you got to do it. But if there's ways that you can pick a route where, your bends are down to a minimum, then I think that's a perfectly installed conduit. That's what you should be learning, you know what I mean? Of course, you should be learning also how to make these bends when you actually get in that situation, but at the same time, you should be learning how to avoid having to bend. Installing these conduits as neatly as possible and, as quickly as possible. You know what I mean? So, with that said, we have P Funk here, 500. What's up, P Funk? How you doing? Welcome to the show. Also, if you want to just chime in and you want to just speak with us, Commander 21, how you doing, boss? I see you. I see your hand. Um, like I said, if you don't want to talk and you just want to actually type, you can type in the chat room called Post Questions here. Commander 21, I see you. I will bring you up to the stage in a second. Just give me a minute. Just want to welcome both of you guys here. Like I said, if you just type instead of speak, by any means, you can just go to the room that's called Post Questions here, and you can type in there. Thomas, how have you been, man?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Right on. How you been, brother?
I've been good, man. How you been, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm just. Hold on. Let me put my earbuds in. Hello?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I just put my earbuds in. Man, I'm good, bro. I've just been super busy at work. I started doing the whole studying for my journeyman test, so that's been keeping me pretty busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm just trying to stay the course with all that.
Nice, nice. Okay, I got you. I got you. Your journeyman's test, man. That's a big step, man. You ready for it?
No, definitely not. I'm trying to get to a point to where like I'm fully understanding what it is that I'm studying. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I go over some of the content, man, and I don't fully have like that depth, like the actual me. Like I think I can get by. I think that I'll pass the test. You know what I'm saying? But my train of thought is to actually understand what it is that I'm doing, because I'm gonna keep going with the studying after the journeyman.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to keep. I'm gonna push straight through to the C10.
Of course.
Here we don't have the. I mean, I'm not too sure how it goes. If it's master electrician or if the C10 is the master electrician.
Right.
I'm not too sure how that goes, but.
And you're out in California, right? You're out in California?
Correct, yep.
Okay, all right. Wow, man.
Yeah, so I'm trying to do that, man, and I'm going really hard on the studying right now.
That's awesome. Listen, man. See, like, I don't know what your situation is, but I don't know how soon you want to take this test or not. But listen, I'm really into I've been watching for a long time this guy. I'm pretty sure you heard. Maybe not. Maybe you have. Maybe you haven't. Master the NEC on. He's on YouTube. He's on Facebook. He's everywhere. He has a program, right? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you've ever heard. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, I have. I've definitely heard. I've watched some of his videos. I've heard some of his podcasts. I'm doing something really similar to what he has going on. It's called Code Coach.
Okay.
The Code Coach, and it's just a preference thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I can understand him and the way of his teaching style, because not every teacher's for everybody.
No, you're right,
You know what
and
I'm
that's
saying?
important. That's important. So I'm glad that you found somebody that's more to your liking, and that's all that matters.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's like gotten to the point to where like I think I'm like halfway there. I think that if I wing, what I'm saying, I'm gonna be taking the test within like the next 3 months. You know what I'm
Nice,
saying? I'm gonna be
nice.
taking it in the next 3 months, but I'm trying to build myself to where I have a certain amount of the code um questions like embedded in my mind, at
R-
least the simple steps, right?
Right, right, right. Of course, of course.
So, so it's just that process. It's just like regurgitating all that information. It's just a lot, you know what I'm saying? But right now, I'm just basically like um, fully invested into that, bro. I've just been going crazy with watching those videos. I'm just watching them over and over and over. Realistically, you know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to, like I said, just like embed it in my brain to where like it's like secondhand nature. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm just like, okay, boom, this is this question, this is what this involves. These are the steps. This is that. Because I've gotten a lot of mixed reviews about, Anthony. Anthony just got his Anthony, he used to come in here with me at first. He just got his journeyman.
Okay.
So yeah, this is his third year in the trade, and
Wow.
he just went hard. He doesn't have no kids, and he's got a lot more time and stuff like that. And that's really what it is, man. It's really just putting in the time
Exactly,
and just
exactly.
actually studying that shit, man. Studying that shit because it just takes a lot out of you.
Mm.
I mean, I got a daughter, and I want to spend time with her. It's just a hard balance. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So it's
yeah.
gonna take me a little bit longer. It's gonna take me a little bit longer, but no biggie.
No, not at all, man. You're still gonna
It's
do
not
it.
gonna stop me.
You're still gonna do it, And by the way, yeah, tell Anthony I send my regards too. Tell him I send my regards.
Right on, definitely will.
Yeah.
Definitely will. I've been trying to catch I've been trying to catch the chats, but I've been missing them.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
been missing them, man. So much has been going on, man, since I've, been on the Discord last.
Yeah, I mean,
Whenever I
yeah.
found on IG, and I was like, at least check in and say what's up. I gotta at least check in and say what's up.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I've been away for a little while, but like it looks like I'm coming back now, and I'm gonna try to keep it up a little more. You know what I'm saying? Every Sunday night at 9, and we'll see if we're always here every week. Also, I got more videos coming out. Too. I'm dropping more out, and yeah.
Nice.
Also, anybody that has any questions, I'm taking more questions. I just bring them to the live and I answer them here. You know what I'm saying? That's what I've basically been doing for the past few weeks. Anybody has any questions, I just bring them to the live here and I answer them for them here.
There you go.
Pretty much. That's pretty
There you
much
go.
it. So yeah, man, I'm glad that you're doing your thing, man.
But are you guys busy out there, man? How's work going? Are you guys getting hit by this COVID shit out there?
You know
Or are
what?
you guys
I
good?
mean,
Are you guys still solid?
no, I mean, you know what? You know what's got me worried is that we're pretty much still good. You know what I'm saying? I just have a feeling that it's gonna be something that's slowly gonna get slower. I'm hoping that if next year comes and it's not slow, then I think we're gonna be in the clear. But if next year comes and we get slow, then I think it might get bad. I think it might get bad.
Right.
But I think, because
I
if
hear you.
if New York gets bad, then that means everywhere is gonna get bad, man. Because usually we like even through the recession or whatever, man, we made it out. There was always work. But if it gets bad over here, I'm pretty sure it's probably gonna get bad everywhere.
Yeah, most definitely. New York is like the capital of the world, bro. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see what happens. But yeah, we're still pretty much busy, man. We're still getting more contracts. You know, we have another big job coming on the way on top of the one that we have now. I just started a new big job, 28 floors, and I'm at the sub basement, starting my way up. So like we just started it. They have another building coming up in a few more months. So for right now, it looks like we're busy. We're actually hiring right now, because we need the manpower. Yeah. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
pretty.
we on the other hand, man, it's not doing too well, bro. We downsized, man. Since the last time I talked to you, bro, my
Yeah.
company's downsized like probably like three quarters.
Wow.
So we used to have about 200 employees. Now we have about, I don't know, 60, 65, maybe less than that, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like iCompany. I mean, from we're in the Silicon Valley, so everything is supposed to be busy all the time. But
Right, right.
like a lot of people are scared to invest right now. A lot
Wow.
of people, the whole COVID thing is kind of a setback with startup companies. So not everybody's really willing to. I mean, I'm predicting things are going to get pretty ugly out here this way. But I mean,
Yeah.
we'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We've just been getting a lot of small jobs. Just a
Okay.
lot of small jobs, man. A lot of small jobs. Like a couple months tops, and then we're out of there.
Nice.
Nothing too big. And like I said, that's probably relevant with the economy.
Right.
People are scared to just throw money at these big startup businesses. So I mean, I understand.
That's true. That's true. It's true. But actually, I mean, you know what? Now that you mention it, like, yes, we're hiring and we have jobs and all that, but we did go through a large, downgrade too. Like we did let go of quite a few people. We're just hiring now because we just started a new job. But a few months ago we did let go of quite a few people. And it was not too many of us around. But now that we just started up like when I mean we just started, I mean like a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, we just started up a new job. So it's like we're bringing more people back on the team. People that were laid off are coming back. Because we have this is a pretty big job. It's going to be, from what they say, going for at least a couple of years. Yeah. So it looks like we're back on the map, and we're kind of busy as of right now. And we've also been doing small jobs in the meantime as well. I think that's what keeps everybody alive. You can't sleep on the small
Yeah.
jobs. Hmm.
Yeah, you can't turn those down, definitely.
No, yeah, it's
Definitely can't
definitely,
turn those down.
yeah, it definitely does help. So listen, man, while I have you here, man, let me ask you something. So, what is it that, like, how long have you been in the trade now, going?
I've been in the trade for 3 years. Well, 3 years commercial, 1 year resident, or 1.5 years residential.
Nice, nice. Okay, okay. So you being in the trade now, right? How do you like? Are you a savvy conduit bender now? Are you still learning, or what now? What would you tell somebody that just started, like, in the first year? How would you tell him to, like, what would you tell him to learn first?
I mean, honestly, that just depends on how savvy they are with the measuring tape. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? Because if you follow the formulas, I mean, if you do the math will never, math doesn't lie. You
Exactly.
know what I'm saying? So what I was doing, like I said, it's a little bit different with me. Me and information, we have a different relationship. I have to watch things multiple times to understand things. And once I
Okay.
do understand it, I fully remember everything about it. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
So I think that like my crew that I work with is a lot smaller, so I don't have very much. I think I told you this. I don't have that much experience with table vendors because we do
Right.
small jobs, so it's all prefabs. But as far as that goes, I mean, like I'm pretty much in a position right now where I'm ready to jump up to the next level. I'm ready to be a lead, so I can
Nice.
run any type of pipe. I can run any type of pipe, do any kind of work. So I'm like I'm learning now. But advice, I would just say indulge as much as you can into electrical for as long as you can until you get burned out, and then take a break and then jump right back in there. You know what I
That's
mean?
it, man.
I get burnt out. I get burnt out sometimes, and I'll take a couple of days, a couple of weeks off. I'm like, okay, and then I'll go right back on it. I remember when I was doing that with your videos, and I was like, holy shit, this is like a lot of math. You know what I'm saying? But once I started coming to the Discord, and you were just like giving me these super simple formulas, like just hearing you say it was like night and day. You know what I'm saying? I remember once I learned the like the what was it, the shrink times the
Oh yeah, for the parallel offsets.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
After
yeah.
that, man, after that, bro, it was like, ooh, after I learned how to do that, it was crazy timing because I immediately went into like a job, and it was all open ceiling, and I
Yeah.
really got to show really got to show like the main foreman in the company, like the dude that's been here like the longest.
Yeah.
Like I really got to display my skill in front of him, and it was super dope because he's a hard ass.
Yeah.
He's never gonna tell you. He's never gonna say like, "Hey man, good job" or nothing like that. But if he doesn't, if he's not chewing your ass out, then that's your good job. You know what I'm
Exactly. I know the type. Yeah, I know the type. For sure, man. Well, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome, man. I'm glad.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for that knowledge. And like I said, man, once I start hitting these table benders, because I know that, next time around, I'm going to be around. So next time, we get a bigger job and stuff, I know that I'll have the opportunity to. But everything we've been doing is real small. So I'm just playing my position, waiting for my opportunity, bro. That's it.
That's it, man. I'm glad that you mentioned prefab, man, because yeah, I'm about to get out of here, but before I do get out of here, I want to let you know that today I just made a new video on working with prefabs. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that might help you out, man. But definitely take a look at that video. That I'm hoping to post it either today or tomorrow. And yeah, it should be out there, soon. I'm hoping today or tomorrow that I could post it. It all depends on when I get the chance to finish editing it and whatnot. But yeah, so there's a new video coming out. I'll be posting more new videos later in the month. And yeah, man. So listen, Thomas, man, it was a pleasure speaking with you again. I'm glad you popped in. And don't be a stranger. I'll be here every Sunday night, man.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna try to do my part of checking in, man. I'll be back next Sunday. I'm gonna try to be more involved, bro.
Not a problem, man. Have a good one, man. Take it easy.
All right, man. You too.
All right.
I'll talk to you soon.
As I am right now, saying hello to you guys. You know what I mean? That's the actual room that I'm in. Okay. So with that said, I know Commander 21. I know you have a question. As far as concentric bends and all that. Now we have a few questions here that I was told to answer, and they have problems with and whatnot. One of them is using the star on the bender. Okay, it looks like a few people don't really know how to actually do that. I've gotten that question about 3 times. And it's pretty straightforward. It can get confusing at times. They don't know how to actually use the star when it comes to bending 90s or what it's for. Basically, the star on your hand bender is gonna be when you want to do back-to-back 90s, or not necessarily. You don't even have to want to do a back-to-back 90. Um, the star is also, let's just say that you have a really long stub to actually bend. Okay, now let's just say your conduit is 10 feet long, all right, and you have to do a stub that's gonna be 8 feet. You know, your stub is 8 feet, so you only have a little bit at the other end. So imagine trying to bend that. That's gonna be a little hard, right? So what the star does, it lets you actually, if you mark your stub, right, your 8 foot stub, okay, if you mark that 8 foot stub on your conduit, all right, now all you have to do is just use the star. But in order for you to use the star, okay, the direction that you measured from, you would have to flip your bender around the other way, so that now you're bending the short side. Okay, but you use the star. If you were to bend it the other way, you would have to go measure your 8 feet and then deduct whatever it is that the deduct is. Okay, so what the star does is it helps you just, you know, do back-to-back 90s, or help you bend, when it comes to bending short 90s. You know what I'm saying? If you have to do that, that's how you would use the star. Okay, so pretty much all the star is you could just flip your bender around and use the star and bend it, and you could pretty much, that's it. That's pretty much it. It's really nothing to it. you know um Another question was, why are people actually, they're actually telling me, why kink? Why do I keep kinking my conduits? All right. Now that depends if you're actually kinking it on the electric bender, whether you're kinking it on the, hand bender and whatnot. Now, I'm not sure what bender you were kinking it on, because I'm not. You didn't really specify. Now, The reasons why people actually kink is either you're putting no pressure on your hand bender, okay, or you're actually, trying to like pull the actual pipe with your and your feet. I've seen a lot of people do that and it kinks it. It's too much pressure. Now, if you're doing that and you're kinking it on the electric bender, then you probably need to adjust the actual rollers on the bottom. There's a way to adjust it, and it actually helps a lot with the kinking. Okay. Now, if you're kinking on the table bender, um, I've never really seen that before, but if you're kinking on the bender, on the table bender, you might want to take a look at your follow bar and your saddle and making sure that they are the right ones for the size that you're actually using. Other than that, the only other reason I believe why you would kink on a table bender is that when you're actually snugging up your saddle to the conduit, you might not have done it correctly, and it's possible that you put it too far away from the actual mark, and you could end up, kinking it that way as well. Okay. Now, other than that, you know, um, my other question is from a gentleman here. Actually, a couple of people here actually asked me the same question: is how to use a hickey bender. Now, a hickey bender is kind of old school, but I mean, people still use it. It's mostly used now. Like if you actually have some slab work that's already been poured on your conduit, and you need to make some bends while it's already been on the slab. We used to use it when I first started working in the trade. It was already getting phased out. It was still around. Companies still had the hickey benders on the actual shelf, but it was getting phased out already. Okay, and I was fortunate enough to work with a good electrician that actually taught me how to actually use it, and taught me how to actually do the calculations. Now, the only thing with the hickey bender is, imagine having to do every 90 like if it's a segment bend. Okay, now that's all the hickey is. You had to actually do every offset and every 90 like as if it was a segment bend. Now, I mean, the calculations were a little longer, but it's still pretty much it was still pretty much the same thing. You just had to do small bends, a lot of small bends. That's it. So if you wanted a 90, you would have to do, you know, 9 small 10-degree bends. Because pretty much the hickey will give you just about a 10-degree bend. It won't give you any more than that. If you go any further than that, you're just gonna damage the conduit. It'll actually, you just kink it completely, and snap it back. But yeah. So the way that you actually use the hickey is, you first find out the radius that you want. Okay, so if you want whatever stub or the radius, so if you have a 1 inch conduit, then the radius usually is gonna be like 8 times that. So you have to figure out the developed length, and then from the developed length you'll figure out your spacing in between your marks, and you'll know the degree that you're actually going to bend it. So it's pretty much the layout, not pretty much, it is the same thing. The layout's going to be the same way you lay out a segment 90. It's the same thing when you're dealing with a hickey bender. Now the offsets are the same thing as well. So if you want a 30-degree bend, you got to do the same thing. Find out the developed length and all that other good stuff. Put your marks down and bend them. You know what I mean? So with a hickey bender, you're bending 10-degree bends. So like if you're doing a 30, you're most likely gonna bend it 3 times. I mean, there could be you could do a little more than that too. I mean, you could do a little less as well. But that's pretty much how you use the hickey. You have to actually do it as far as laying it out segment wise. You know what I'm saying. Now, don't get me wrong. When I was first in the trader, and I've seen electricians use the hickey bender, not too many actually did that. Most of them eyeballed it and pretty much did it that way. They didn't really calculate and mark their conduit and whatnot. Um, the electrician and mechanic that taught me how to properly do it, but he himself never really did it that much. The only time I actually see him lay it out and calculate it was when he was actually doing a segment bend around something that, had a big radius, something that had a big diameter, where he actually wanted, to make it a large sweep, or if he was doing concentric bends, with small conduit. Um, it looks like back then I've seen more concentric bends than I actually do now. It looked like they had a little bit more pride in their work. Whenever they had the chance to make their um, concentric bends, they would, because it looks so nice when you have all your 90s, and throughout the whole sweep of your 90s the spacing is all you know equal. It's not like so sharp when you have like a regular 90, and you just throughout the whole bend your spacing is all equal, and it's nice when you see a perfectly done concentric bend with so many conduits. It really does looks nice. Not to mention when you're pulling wire, it's so much easier than when you're pulling it through a regular 90. You would think it isn't, but it is. Mm. Excuse me, guys. I had to get a drink of water. I'm talking a lot here. Okay, so now let me get down to Commander 21 here. GWO, man, I'm glad that you, Joe, actually, Joe, I'm glad that you came to join us here. I haven't seen you for a minute. Apologize for not having these lives for a while, but I'm glad to have you, Joe. Definitely glad to have you here today. If you need to speak or say anything at all, you can post it in the room called Post Questions Here. Um, yeah, man, I'm glad that you're here, man. Yeah, I'm glad that you're back, man. I really am. I'm actually back myself. I'm just getting back into doing these lives, and I'm really excited because I have a lot of information for you guys. I'm starting to drop more videos on YouTube as well. Um, I'm back doing one-on-one sessions. Okay. Yeah, I'm back doing one-on-one sessions through the phone, through internet, however you want to do it. I have an hourly rate, and I'm back doing that as well. Giving advice, tutoring you guys, teaching you guys, anything that I can possibly do through the internet or phone, I will do. You know what I'm saying? So, with that, I want to get to my most important, uh, yeah, question. Well, it's one of the important questions of the day. You know what I mean? And that's something that I want to do a video of for Commander 21. Um, I definitely want to do a video of this because I don't think I'm going to do you justice answering your question here tonight. Okay, and it's something that I've planned on doing. I just never got around to it. Okay, it is because it's something that needs to get taught, because it's not something that you do every day, but it is something that when it does come, you need to know how to do it, or at least have the notes written down somewhere to know how to do it. Okay, and that is bending around a large tank. Okay, how do you do that? All right, doing it is actually not the hard part either. Okay, it's the layout of your conduit. It's finding the radius. Okay, especially with such a large, tank, whether it's a water tank, whatever it is, whether it's like a staircase, something that you need to get around, that's a round diameter, something that's humongous. I'm talking about really large here, a really large diameter. Okay, so I've done quite a few of these, and when I first started out, the first one that I've seen done was from my my mentor, and it was awesome. When I saw that, I told him right away, I want to know how to do that. And I was lucky enough that back then I was in Florida. We actually did a few of them, and it was some cooling towers. So I had the chance to practice and do it. Never again did I get that chance. Coming back to New York, I never got that chance again. But and I didn't even get any pictures back then either. That really sucked. But anyhow, so yeah, how do you do it? So the most important thing is I'm not gonna show you today, Commander, on how to actually, you know, make this bend, because I have videos on how to do segment 90s. Okay, but what I am gonna help you with is with the most important things, like, um, how do you lay it out without catching a coupling in the middle of your layout, you know? And number two, how do you find the radius of these large tanks, you know? All right, so to get that started, the first thing you want to do is you want to find the radius, obviously, right? Because to do a segment bend, you need to know the radius in order to fill in your formula, right? In order to get the developed length, which, you break down into your layout, okay? So, and then depending on the degrees that you actually pick as well, right? Now, how do you find the radius for these large tanks? All right. In my experience, there are a couple of ways. Okay. Now let's just imagine that you have a big circle. Okay, and that circle is your water tank. Hopefully, if you're lucky enough, okay, you don't have anything blocking you on either side of that water tank. Okay, on any sides, it doesn't matter what sides. You just want the diameter, which is from one side of that circle to the other, not actually around it. You just want the diameter from one side of that circle to the other side. Okay, now hopefully it's not that large where it's bigger than I don't know, a 10-foot stick of pipe or a 10-foot stick of Kindorf. So what you want to do is, if you're lucky enough, you can put two Kindorfs on either side of that round tank. Okay? And by doing so, what you want to do is you want to line them up perfectly. And how do you know if they're lined up perfectly? Well, you put them up against the tank, and now you're gonna go on one side of those of the Kindorfs, and you're actually gonna measure them. Okay, you're gonna measure them, and you're gonna see what kind of measurement you have there. All right, and you'll know if they're not straight is when you go to the other side and you don't have the same measurement. So if you don't have the same measurement on both sides, of those Kindorfs, then you know that those Kindles are not straight. When you finally do get the same measurements, then that's your diameter, okay? Because the diameter is pretty much just one side of the circle to the other side of the circle. You understand what I'm saying? So that's your diameter. Once you have your diameter, then your radius is half of that, and the battle is half done already. Okay, so once you have that diameter, all you got to do is divide that by 2, and that's pretty much it. You have the radius. Okay, once you have that radius, you can fill in the formula. Now, if you don't know the formula, I have videos on that. You can search it. Doing segment bends, concentric bends. Look it up on my channel. I have a few different videos on segment bending. That'll explain it better than I can right now. But that's how you actually find the radius, because that's what you want to do. You want to find the radius. You need the radius in order to fill in that formula. Okay? Now that's one of the methods that you can do, is using some kind of flat surface to put on either side of that round tank so that you can get the radius. That's one way. Okay? Now if that's not an option, another way is the circumference method. Okay? You can grab either your tape measure, or if it's bigger than your tape measure, you can grab what I know you'll have around, maybe some true tape. I don't know if you know what true tape is. True tape is what you put in your conduit to measure the length of your wire runs. You can use that, or you can just use some regular drag line, whatever. Wrap it around the actual tank. Okay, wrap it around the whole tank, and then after you're done, cut that string or whatever, and you have the circumference, on the tank. And then you can measure that drag line, okay, and you have the circumference. Now, after you have the circumference, now you can find the radius through a formula, okay, which is the circumference divided by pi times 2, okay, and that'll give you the radius, okay. But if you don't remember that, if you don't, yeah, unistrut, Joe, of course, that's what I've always used. I've used unistrut. Another way is, I'm gonna tell you another method in a minute. Joe. Um, oh, I'm sorry. Kindorf is unistrut, like a channel. What you guys use to support your conduit. I don't know what you guys call it where you're from. We call it unistrut. We call it Kindorf. We call it channel raceway. Pretty much that's what we call it. But you can get that because it's a pretty long straight edge, right? You can use that, or you can use EMT, whatever. If that's not long enough, then you got to find something else longer. Um, but yeah, so once you have the circumference of that round tank, mule tape, yeah, mule tape as well. I call it mule tape, too as well. We call it true tape. Some people call it mule tape. In New York, we in New York we pretty much call everything different for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. But yes. So once you have the circumference, then you can fill in that formula that I just gave you. Circumference divided by 2 times pi. That gives you the radius. Now again, once you have the radius, then you're good to go. You're good to go. You know what I'm saying? And then from there, that's it. Joe, this is a perfect example right here. Okay? So after you have that circumference, you can fill in the formula, you get the radius. Now after the radius, that's it. You can fill in your formula. Alright? Radius times 1.57 gives you the developed length. Now I'm not sure if you know how to actually do the whole formula. I'm not sure. Was it just you needing to have finding out the radius of these large tanks, or you needed to know how to do the whole actual, you know, calculation? Commander 21. Is it the whole calculation, or you just needed to find out how to actually find the actual length? If you could please answer that. Yeah, because I wasn't sure if you needed the whole formula. Because if you need the whole formula, you could definitely just go on to my channel and it'll show you how to do segment bends. But as far as getting, the radius for those large tanks, that's how you would actually do it. You have two ways. Just get the sides, get the diameter and break that into half. Or find the circumference, fill in that formula, and get the radius that way. Another way, if it's really large, you're probably going to be outside and it might be a little hard, is instead of, unistrut, using a laser on one side, marking the floor, then using the laser for the other side and marking the floor to get the actual, diameter and then finding the radius. Okay, so you say, thanks, just to find the length and know what degree is best for 3/4 and 1 inch. So the degrees for bending these large radius bends, you know, um, I've had to actually use sometimes 3-degree bends. Honestly speaking, it depends. It depends on how big it actually is, But you're gonna be doing a lot of small bends. I'll tell you that much. Do you have any idea how big the tank is or anything like that? If you do, let me know how big pretty much the tank is. But you definitely want to do small bends. When it comes to these large tanks, you can do anywhere from 3-degree bends to 1-degree bends. You know what I'm saying? Because pretty much you could end up with one conduit just being a quarter of that circle. Okay? Just a quarter of that circle. So a quarter of that circle is just about 22. Like you don't even like. Are you actually doing these bends now? That's something that I would really like to see. When you're done, I really want to see the work. I haven't done these in such a long time. But something that you need to actually also pay attention to is the couplings, because if the tank is bigger than a 10-foot piece of conduit, then that means you're going to be doing quite a few conduits to get this to go around the whole perimeter, around the whole tank. Okay, I see. So they might be putting you on it. All right. So yeah, like I said, yes, yes, yes. Nice, nice. Yep, I see it. Okay, so I see the picture now. But now, So that looks like quite a few of them that you might have to do. Yeah, you might have to do quite a few of them. So with that said, you know, and on these towers, you definitely, if you look at the blueprints, okay, you should definitely have the diameters on that, and all that information should be in the architecturals. You would definitely have that on there, on the blueprints. If you don't, if you don't have it on the actual blueprints, then go about it the way that I said and try to find out how to actually get that diameter. The best way to get it for this would actually get some dragline or some mule tape and do it the circumference way. Unless you're gonna be doing it underneath the walkway. From what I see, you have an actual walkway underneath there, and it looks like that's how we usually do it. We usually do it underneath the walkway, and yeah, and figure it out that way, you know. But definitely pay attention to the couplings. Okay, so if you know that your bends are gonna be more than just one conduit, then you need to make sure that you don't your bends, your marks don't land on a coupling. And how do you do that? Okay, when you figure out your developed length and you figure out your layout as far as how your marks have to be spaced out. Let's just say, for example, your marks have to be spaced out 10 inches apart, right? Well, then you want to divide that spacing by 2. Okay, so that means, that's why I'm making it a simple, spacing 10. So you divide it by 2, that means 5 inches, right? So from the end of the conduit, you want to mark 5 inches, and then from there do your regular spacing of 10 inches apart. This way your layout won't actually end up on a coupling. Okay, it'll avoid the coupling. Your marks will always be in between couplings that way. Okay, so don't forget, you just get your spacing, whatever your spacings are in between every mark, divide it by 2, and then you just take that 5 inches or whatever it is in your case, and you mark that out first from the edge of the conduit, and then you do your spacings. This way they always end up away from the couplings. That's how you have to do that. This way, when you're doing a segment bend, that's going to be using multiple conduits just for a bend. You know what I'm saying? So Smitty, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Glad to have you here. I was just speaking about the hickey benders as well. Uh, if you have anything you want to mention to the group, we're using the post questions here chat room. You can join us there. I'm not quite sure, but I believe you were the one that actually mentioned about the hickey bender. Was that you, Smitty? If not, I apologize. Don't forget, you can use the post questions room to drop all your questions or speak that way. Anyhow, so as far as you, Commander 21, that's what I would do. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Those are the pointers that you really need. I'm gonna do a video on this as soon as I get the chance. The most important thing, I mean, is the formula, which I have that on the videos already on YouTube. Okay, the pointers that I gave you today as far as the couplings go and how to actually find the radius, I don't really have that on video yet. You have the pointers now. This actual podcast, this actual live will be on YouTube as well. If you need to refer back to it, it'll be posted. Also, just so that you know. Now, yeah, so with that, I hope that helped you out. If you have any other questions, just in the chat, and I'd be happy to help you out with anything else that you need. I hope that at least gave you some help, man. No problem, Commander. No problem at all. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and move on. Today, I just made a video today, before I got on here live with you guys on prefab bends. Okay, now I was always against them. You know what I mean? Because I was a bender. I like bending my conduit. I like bending my own conduit. But in these times, it looks like these supervisors and these companies are bringing in more prefabs. They believe that it just saves time and that it's easier for people that don't know how to bend. Now, let me tell you something. If you don't know how to bend your own conduit, right, you're, you're going to have a harder time trying to even work with prefab bends. Okay? Let me tell you that. You're going to be cutting 3 and 4 times. Okay? If you can't calculate your own bends to bend your own bends, you're going to have a harder time using prefab bends. I mean, if you know, most people, what I see, they'll eyeball it and they'll have to take it back down and cut it again. So I put out a video on how to actually calculate your cuts. Okay, you measure, you cut, and you install once with prefab bends. Now they're coming more into play, guys. Learn how to actually calculate your cuts with these prefab bends. Look professional, all right? And, you know, let's act like we know what we're doing here. You know what I'm saying? With these bends, it's very important. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, they really are, Smitty. I'm telling you, man, because they're trying to get rid of these benders and they think that it's actually gonna be faster and quicker. It's not. It's really not. If you have somebody that's inexperienced in bending, the prefab bends is not gonna help. It really isn't. It's not gonna help at all. All right. So, but with that said, you need to know what you're doing with these prefabs, you know, because it's easily calculated. You can easily calculate your cuts with prefab, whether it's an offset, whether it's a kick, whether it's 3-point or 4-point saddle. You know, I can do them all for you. Just calculating the cuts once, installed, done. Yes, it's going to be a lot of coupling, but hey, you know what I mean? If that's what they want, that's what they want. You know what I mean? Excuse me, guys. I got to take a sip of water here. Exactly. So, with that said, I put out that video. It's actually not put out just yet. I still have to edit it and you know, and fix it up a little bit, and it'll be out. I'm hoping I'm hoping that I can post it maybe tomorrow or the day after if I'm lucky. Yeah, so that'll be out, and it's really simple, guys. It's just a matter of just, you know, grabbing that prefab bend, whether it's a 30, 45, or whatever, you know, marking out the center of that bend with a straight edge. You know, some people could even eyeball it the center, but I wouldn't do that because you want to be accurate. Okay, and then just measuring the center of that bend to the edge of the elbow. Okay, once you have that measurement, it's that's it. That's all you need. You multiply. If it's an offset, you multiply that by 2, and when you get that actual measurement, you know, whatever you get from that calculation, that's what you're gonna deduct from the spacing. All right. You calculate it the same way you would any other offset. If you're using 45-degree elbows, then you need a 15-inch offset, you do the actual formula, okay, but you have to actually put in a couple of more steps now. Now you have to subtract whatever your elbows are from that figure, and whatever you have left over, that's the piece that you have to cut. Now you have to take into account too that these couplings space it out a little bit, so you might have to deduct, and in the video I show you how to do all that. You might have to deduct a quarter of an inch and half an inch here and there for these couplings, you know, and if it gets if you're starting to use, you know, prefab bends like 4 inch, 3 inch, it might be a little more. You know what I mean? But I show you how to figure all that out in the video, all right? Because I'm telling you guys, these prefab bends are gonna be in play more than not. I'm telling you, you know, they think that it's quicker and faster that way, you know, and it might just be for some people, you know what I mean? But if you know what you're doing on a bender, you know, I don't see it, you know, I just don't see it. Anyway, with that said, that's what I'm working on, you know, putting out that video, so I'm hoping to get that out pretty soon. Okay, and yeah, so now also I have another one here. Another question from a Discord community member, Joseph Ballin. You know, spacing between bends. You know, how do I find out the minimum distance in between my bends for like an offset? He's actually asking for. Okay, and that's actually a very, very good question. You know, Like, he kind of like stumped me there for a minute. I'm not even gonna lie. All right, I'm not gonna lie. Like, how do you know, when it's actually too small? When your bends are too close together. How do you know if that's too close together? Like, for me, in my opinion, that's just experience for me, because I just know, I'm like, hold up, this is not gonna work. I'm gonna have to do, maybe a 22-degree bend instead of a 30-degree bend, because these bends are just too close together. You know, and Joseph, this is something that's just experience. You know what I mean? But what I can tell you from experience also as well is, depending on the bender that you're using, okay, if it's a hand bender or if it's an electric bender or if it's a table bender, all right, what I want you to do is, pretty much, you got to look at the shoe. Okay, if you look at the shoe, all right, and you pretty much measure the shoe, at least half of the length of the shoe, okay, that's about the pretty much the minimum distance that you want to have your bends, close together. All right, that's what I would do, in my opinion. Now, for me, pretty much, I can just tell when the bends are too close together. But if you want to actually do it in a way where you actually can, like, calculate it and figure it out, I would go with the way that I just said. Or if somebody else can actually come up and actually let me know another method that we could actually tell Joseph, that would be great. But I would say, measure the shoe. It doesn't have to be the whole length of the shoe. I would say half the measurement of the shoe is something that I would like to keep my bends apart with. You know what I'm saying? Now, especially when you start getting into larger conduit, that's something that you definitely want to, pay attention to. So that's actually a really good question, Joseph. I hope that you actually get to listen to this podcast. All right. So moving on to another one. Another question here, which is kind of anonymous. Really, it's transitioning from a mechanic, a journeyman, to a foreman. Okay, what do contractors look for? Okay, now, this is off topic. This has nothing to do with, conduit bending, uh, conduitology, or anything like that. Um, but like I said, we're gonna be talking about, various different topics, and I actually don't mind answering this, because we also have something along the same lines as well from somebody else. Another question that's kind of similar, but it's not really that similar. But it's just in the same ballpark, which is how to deal with, you know, other journeymen or foremen, that have different opinions, as far as running conduit. Or it could be anything, it could be, not even just running conduit. It could be, installing, panels or wiring something, how to deal with other opinions, I guess. You know what I'm saying? And pretty much, to each his own. Everybody handles things differently. You know what I'm saying? But in the trades, you can't forget that, we do kind of have, some rough characters, and whatnot. But with all that said, we want to stay professional, because, we're electricians. You know what I'm saying? And we want to stay professional. P Funk, a mechanic is usually like a journeyman, okay, for a union shop. Non-union, we don't really call it journeyman. We call it mechanics. We have different level of mechanics. Level A, B. So many different mechanic levels. I think there's 3 different levels of mechanics. But that's what we call it in non-union shop. P Funk. In union shops, you guys would call yourself a journeyman. Okay, we call ourselves a mechanic. So pretty much. Now, Joe just mentioned something. Hold on a second. I was taught you could calculate it by getting the developed length for the angle and conduit size. The minimum distance for the offset shouldn't be less than the developed length plus the distance to the front of the hook. Awesome. Thank you, Joe. So once again, okay, to figure out the minimum, the distance in between your bends, okay, from what Joe says is he was taught you could calculate it by getting the developed length for the angle and the conduit size, okay, and then the minimum distance for an offset shouldn't be less than the developed length plus the distance to the front of the hook. Thank you, Joe, for that. I appreciate it. That Joseph, I hope that answers your question. Now, the only thing you would have to do with that is you're gonna have to try to find out what the developed length is. You know what I mean? And you're gonna have to find out, in order to get that developed length, you're gonna have to find out the radius of the bender. Okay, and I have videos that'll show you how to actually find that. Okay, one of my advanced playlists, it shows you how to actually find out the radius of benders. Okay, so if you need to know how to do that, you can look it up on my videos, and it'll show you how to find the radius of a bender. You know, this way you can find out the developed length of that conduit size and angle, or whatever the case may be. All right. So yeah, let me see. And then he goes on saying 1/2 the developed length for each bend plus the distance to the hook, so you would not deform the previous angle. Good point. Okay, it's a good point. So thank you, Joe, again. So like I was saying, okay, a mechanic is, for a non-union shop, is what we call ourselves. Okay, that's what we call ourselves, pretty much. In a union shop, you would call yourselves a journeyman, pretty much. So back to the question. Okay, so we have these two questions here. What do contractors look for? What do they look for in a foreman? If you're a mechanic and you want to make the transition to a foreman, or a journeyman want to make a transition to a foreman, what do contractors look for? Well, I could tell you one thing they're not looking for. They're not looking for somebody that's coming in late all the time, that's not showing up to work every Monday, that's always got to leave early, comes back to late from lunch, so, like, pretty much, you want to, like, you want to be, if you want to be a foreman, you have to be that guy that, the present foreman can actually rely on, making sure the tools are always put back, locking up your ladders, making sure all the lifts are being charged, helping out your fellow co-workers, not only that, but I mean, you have to be experienced too. You got to be experienced too. Are you teaching yourself? Are you studying? Are you do you have the experience? Are you teachable? Because that's important too. You're gonna continue learning. You're not gonna know everything. Like, are you teachable, man? That's important. That's very important. That's something that I would look for. Somebody that can be taught. You know, somebody that pretty much is on point. That knows what's going on. I make it my business, to know when I'm at a job. I make it my business to do the best that I can, because it's not everything. You can't just know everything, man, but I do the best that I can to prepare myself, for the day, for the week if possible, but you just, you can never be prepared for everything, you know what I'm saying? But I try my best to know the job that I'm at. I study my plans, study my blueprints, I read the specs, like, I just try to get prepared. But, like, right now we're talking about how to actually transition to the foreman, you know. And in order for me to say that, it's just, first of all, you have to have the experience. Okay, if first you have to have the experience, but on the way, you know, on the way up, getting that experience, you know, you could be under that foreman, learning from his steps. Okay, helping out, you know, doing whatever you can to have the job, you know, running pretty smooth. You know what I'm saying? Be his right hand man. Commander, it was a pleasure, man. Till next time, man. No problem. Anytime. Anytime you have any questions, just let me know. All right. Anyways, we'll be closing this up in a few minutes. Anytime soon. But yeah. So you know, just making that transition, man, from a foreman, from a mechanic to a foreman. It just, you know, you have to have it. You have to have the experience. You have to, you know what you're doing. Uh, uh, you know, mostly it's things that you don't want to be doing. You know, you want to be in the foreman's good graces, man. You know what I'm saying? Because he's the one that's gonna actually put you under the wing and teach you. You know what I'm saying? Or not. Now, secondly, is how to deal with, you know, the opinions of others. You know, now that's a little hard, man. You know what I'm saying? Because some people can be humble and some can't. You know what I'm saying? And this question was actually hit me. You know what I'm saying? Because it's something that you have to humble yourself. Now, when you have somebody, when you have a supervisor telling you to do a job a certain way, just do it the way that they tell you. I mean, they are your supervisor, and whether it's wrong or not, you know what I'm saying? They are the supervisor, and it's just best to just, you know, do it the way that they asked you to do a job. Okay? There comes a time where you might have to actually tell somebody to do something and you're going to want it done the way that you told them. Um, if the person is pretty open-minded and you sense that and whatnot, and you have the type of relationship where you could input, you know, your own opinions and whatnot, then do so. But if you don't have that type of relationship, then I would just do my job and do it the best that I can, and do it the way that they want me to do it. You know what I mean? That's the best thing, advice that I could actually give you guys. Now I'm about to close this out, man. I hope to see you guys next week. Thank you guys all for coming. Commander 21 again. Thanks. I actually hope that I helped you out. Joe and P Funk and all you guys. I hope you guys actually enjoyed tonight's live. As far as P Funk, the books to study and whatnot, I do have some books. They're just looking them up on Amazon. It's just regular books, but these three books are awesome and they're really good. And they teach the code, and they actually teach you practical work stuff, which is called commercial electrical. The other one is residential electrical, and the other one is industrial electrical. Okay, and I think they're all by Cengage, Cengage, and they're very good because they're actually, they're actually real life. They put real life work stuff examples in there. Yeah, Joe, you too. Have a good night. They have really good work examples in there, and I definitely recommend it. Yeah, I'll definitely type in the word. What I will do is after this, I'll try to see if I go on Amazon and I'll post it on here in this exact room. I'll post a picture of it or the link. Uh, yeah, definitely. So yeah, Joe, yeah, for sure, for sure. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'm actually, I'm a sub foreman now. Working up there to try to get to that position. I was actually a foreman in Florida, but it looked like I took a step back in New York. I got a little intimidated, by these high-rise buildings and whatnot. When I was in Florida, we didn't do that many high-rise buildings. We did, but they weren't as big as these. So I got a little, intimidated, and I stepped back. And I'm glad I did because I learned a lot more in these last few years that I've been back in New York. And but now, I got my confidence back, and I'm back up there, and I'm shooting for that foreman title, and I'm going strong, man. I'm going hard, man. I want that title in New York. I want to build my own high rises. that'll have my name on them that I completed. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm striving for, and I'm hoping to get that pretty soon, guys. But yeah, so right now I'm assisting the foreman, but what's good about it is that I'm learning a lot too, and he's letting me do my own thing as well too, and I really appreciate that. So yeah, I just hope that this company will give me the shot to be my own foreman, because if not, I'm gonna have to go. And what's good about it is that I have multiple opportunities. I've put myself out there, and I've networked so much throughout these couple of years, and I have the opportunities. They're there. They're waiting, waiting for me. I'm just not willing to jump ship because I've put so much time into this company, and I don't want to leave. I've invested so much time. But what's good about it is that I have the opportunities, okay? And they're there. So it's not so bad either, like that's kind of like a security. I have that security there, which I actually appreciate. So guys, I'm not gonna keep you hostage anymore. I have a few things to do. I'm gonna call it a night, guys. Thank you for joining me. I hope you guys join me next week. Spread the word. I will be here every Sunday night, 9 o'clock, answering your questions. If you have any questions during the week you want me to answer, you can post them on here, and we can actually take care of it on Sunday's lives. Or, you can post them anywhere else. If it's important, I'll get back to you right away. So we'll figure it out. But either way, guys, thanks for joining us. With that, my name is Mel. Thanks for having me, and thanks for staying and listening. And I'm out.